Hi, this is Lulu. I'm a compulsive overeater. And today we're going to do a recording about it was, all the changes that we can expect as we do the step work. Um, when I first started working with my sponsor, she asked me, she said, I would like you to write a list of 3 things that you would like to see changed in your life. Just the 3 hot ticket items, the things that are just bugging me, feels like a cloud following me around, things that make me feel um, unhappy, or just imagining these 3 things actually coming true for you, and um, as a result of this work. So I wrote my list and I emailed it to her, and she loved it. Now I see why she loved it. Oh my dear Lord. So, uh, nowhere in the big book does it say to do this. It was just a little extra special thing. Um, and I found it, and most of the time I remember to have sponsees do it, but you got to do it before you start the work. And I just realized there's a couple people I don't think I told them to do it, but that's okay. Because the 50 fruits of pride, which is also on this blog spot, that's also kind of a great way to get a baseline of who I was, and then who I've become as a result of this work. But this made it more like specific. She had me do the 50 fruits of pride too. It's really great because when you get to the other side of the steps, and you might not be feeling like you had this like white light moment and like everything is wonderful. If you have these tools to look back on and say, wow, that's what I was hoping for in my life, and I actually have it. This is the way I used to think. I don't think like that anymore. Sometimes you don't even realize it. So these kind of baseline little assignments are important because they just really make you aware of your spiritual maturity. So I'm going to share my the 3 things, just so you can just have an idea of this is what I suggest before you start the steps, at least before you take step 3. Ideally right away. I always like to hope that I can remember before they take this step 3. But actually, it's even better before step 3, because I've seen most people have some level of transformation by step 3. They don't have the big shebang promises, but they're already feeling things kind of loosening up a little bit. They don't feel like they're, hanging from a tree. They feel like the hope grows, the hope gets bigger, and you begin to feel these things. I begin to feel the nearness of my creator. I start to feel some peace in my life, and it's all just a beginning. So ideally, I would, as soon as somebody's abstinent like a week and you start reviewing the doctor's opinion with them and stuff, have them write a list. 3 things that I would like changed in my life. The things that are just bugging me, the things that are always coming to my mind that just bother me. So for me, these were my things. And I'm going to just be honest, and just this is where I was 7 years ago, and I'm grateful that all 3 of these things have absolutely turned around for me. Absolutely. And I didn't write these thinking that they would. I was like, no, these are way too big, way too big. But it's just amazing what God can do. It's amazing what God can do for us. So one was, I would like to feel less frustrated with my ex-husband, the father of my children. Oh, I'm not proud of what this says next. He's a piece of work. He's a loser. He's a bad father. He's lazy. He's socially inept. He's childlike. Um, I do realize it must have screwed him up even more over the 20 years he spent putting up with me, reminding him of all these things every day. um, it turns out he's none of those things. He is absolutely none of those things. And I would say today he is still my ex-husband, and today he's, I would say, either my best friend or one of my best friends. Yeah. Okay. So that's what happened with that one. The next one was I would like to feel more peace with my to-do list. My house is nice, my yard is nice, my things are nice, but everywhere I look, I see something to do, and then I feel overwhelmed with seemingly important things, but are they really just small things? I was just so wrapped up. What does that scream? That screams perfectionism. That's what that screams. Okay. So that's what a perfectionist would write. I would be sitting here having a conversation with you in my house, and I'm looking at like, like a picture on the wall that needs to be little tweaked like a quarter of an inch this way, because it's like, it's just weird. It was just like weird that like I felt very not present in life. Um, Today, I have a to-do list. Okay. What I've done is I've separated out my to-do list into 3 lists. One list is the things I gotta do. Like I gotta do. I'm going to my meetings. That's on my list. That's on my calendar. Showing up for my sponsee sessions. Those are on my calendar. Taking the trash out. Yep, want to do that. That's on my list for Wednesday. And then I have a list that, these are the things that would really be nice if they got done. Really nice. But if they didn't, it would be okay. Anytime soon. And then I have my third list. If these would be great if they never got done for the rest of my life. I mean, I could really just rip it up and throw it away, but I keep it taped up inside my medicine cabinet. I don't even see it. If someday I'm a little bored, which kind of never happens, I open up that cabinet and I read, and I'm like, oh, maybe I'll do one of these things. And I'll be like, oh yeah, look at that. Yeah, I meant to paint that and sand that and reorganize that. And sometimes I just close the door and say, forget about it. Right. But I know what uh, perfect is, and it's not in my world anymore. It's in God's perfect. It's the only thing I can think of that's perfect. So that totally, I mean, I just can't even believe that I don't sweat the small stuff anymore. Absolute miracle. Perfectionism. I love myself too much today. And I didn't love myself when I wrote this list. I love myself today to have unrealistic expectations of myself. And then the third thing, this one's the most embarrassing. I would like to be more tolerant of people that are less on the ball than me. Sometimes you ready for this? Ready for this? Not proud. This is not a proud moment. Sometimes I feel like I have a master's degree in common sense and many others have flunked out. I get impatient because I guess I just don't understand what it's like to not be able to think through life's simple stuff. All you stupid people, everywhere I go, stupid, stupid, stupid. They don't have my rule book. They don't have the laws of the world and the land according to the book of Lulu. They just don't have it. They just didn't get their copy. How arrogant. I mean, when I wrote that, it was really true. It was really true. It's really how I felt. And it's funny, but it's a little sad, because how was I going to have any kind of, what that's all about? Acceptance is the answer to all my troubles. No wonder why I was all troubled up, and I was riddled with perfectionism, and I was, critiquing the father of my children like he was just a piece of junk on the side of the road. And then I don't understand how you can't think through life's simple stuff like I was. It's just like it doesn't even make any sense. The whole thing made perfect sense when I wrote it. And I just did not see any miracle on my horizon. But how cool is it to look back? And you know what it is when this is a really useful thing when you're working with others, because you start working with people and sometimes people can see that you have such a strong recovery and they feel like it's unattainable, and they'll throw you up on some imagined pedestal, which, trust me, doesn't exist, because we're all doing the best we can every friggin' day, right? To share something like this with a sponsee, it's kind of like, you got to trust me. Like, I know where you are. I don't have stories about you. I don't have a list I'm making about how awful you are. I'm just saying that this, this is where I was, and this is where I am today. You do what I do. We can take you from your 3 things in your life that are really troubling, that seem insurmountable, that they'll never change, unless everybody else changed. You see, my ex-husband didn't change. My responsibilities really didn't change, and other people's level of competency doesn't need to change. I needed to change, and I needed a new design for living, which is what this big book promises me, and it delivered. So, Shalece, would you like to share your experience with these 3, this exercise?
I would love to. And I think to say that this program and God delivered is just such an understatement. Like, I'm looking back at these and I'm so grateful, Lulu, that you brought these up, because I too have forgotten to bring one of my sponsees through this. And now I'm questioning myself about a couple of others too. So, whatever, right? We're just all, like you said, doing the best we can. Yeah, for me, going through this, and I had actually been abstinent for 3 years when I switched sponsors, and my new sponsor had me do this. And I asked her to take me through the steps as if I'd never been through the steps before, and turns out I'd never been through the steps before. Not to this level. I had been to them exactly how I needed to at that time, and it was perfect for me. But this was just like a new level. So my experience was the 3 things that were the pebbles in my shoe were money, my relationship to money. I'm always stressing over finances. And at the time, my husband and I had set a lofty goal for ourselves to pay off $240,000 in student loan debt in 3 years. That was our goal. And I was like, this is never gonna happen. Oh my gosh, we're gonna die doing this. I just couldn't see that happening. We're 4 years, 4 years from that, doing the work. Not a lot of my step work was surrounding money. It was more around people, but step 10s have been around this, and all of this fear and anxiety about finances is just being and has been unraveled one thing at a time. And today I feel that I can put my trust in God that has always provided for my every need. Always. I look back and just think about, I have never been lacking. I have always had a place to live, a place to sleep, a place to, food to eat, clothes on my back, and to spare. I've always had an abundance. And so living in that fear is just not something that I want to do, and I want to be. And occasionally that will pop up again, and then it'll just be like, wait, Shalece, remember you've got this, and if it does arise, I know what to do. But just to shift out of that and just see how our goals, my husband and my goals have shifted, and realizing that paying off $240,000 worth of student loan is not going to bring us eternal happiness. That's not going to make us any happier. Or having a new car or a new house. We're building a new house, but I'm under no delusion that having a brand new house is going to make me happy or bring me eternal happiness. And if we lost it all tomorrow, I'd be okay. Or if we didn't close on the house, which we're supposed to in a few weeks, I'd be okay. And so just to imagine this level of just trust and awareness, I couldn't even wrap my head around it. I had no idea what was in store for me. And so to just put all of that, my financial well-being and my physical well-being, all in God's hands, is just wow, And I thought this was all about weight. Like, not even. The next thing on my list was intimacy with my husband. If anyone has heard my step one and my rock bottom, where I was, my relationship with my husband was on the rocks. My marriage was not in a good place. And that's one of the things that actually brought me to my knees. And again, just totally, my mind is absolutely blown at where I am today with my relationship with my husband, and realizing what a wonderful man he is, and that he is like, we are partners. And just the level of vulnerability and honesty that we have with each other today, absolutely mind-blowing to me. So beyond, I think this one was like more an issue of like physical intimacy that I had written down here, but I had no idea that God would be handing me like just peace and freedom in just this whole relationship. Mind-blowing, absolutely mind-blowing. And again, through the work that steps 4 through 9, well, all of it, all the steps, but especially 4 through 9, digging through each individual relationship has totally, and finding the truth it frees me in every relationship. The last one, and I had like a big old long honking one on this one. Like, it was just how I felt about my religion. And this was again, if you've listened to our presentations and podcasts, I really struggled when we talk about my experience with step 4. Half of my resentments were towards my church, and I'm just laughing, just laughing at my writing that I have on, like, just the fears and lies that I was telling myself about my church, and their role in my life, and how I couldn't be free to believe or think how I wanted to, and it's comical actually now. But I'm so grateful for this little exercise. And as Lulu said, there's nowhere in the big book that says, make this list, but I think it's so beautiful to have kind of a gauge of where you were, and then to be able to look back on the place that you were, and to see where God has brought you, it's really invaluable. And I'm so grateful for this opportunity. Thanks for inviting me to look back on that, Lulu. I'll pass it back over to you.
I just had a thought that, like, it was great. It was great to hear. Yeah, it's just amazing. Like, they just poof, poof. But it's not poof like it's gone in a minute. In the big scheme of things, it feels it's a minute, because it was about 10 months. Till the end of my step work was about a 10-month process. But even post step work, there's still all this unraveling that takes place, which brings me to an idea that maybe it's really never too late to make a list like this. Like, I could probably make a list of 3 things right now, and then just put a little put it on my phone somewhere in a note in the notes, and then maybe do a little calendar reminder a year from now to read it and look at it. Don't even look at it for a year and see what's happened in that year, because as a result of step 11, well, as a result of 10, 11, and 12, um, I should always be spiritually maturing. And with spiritual maturity comes just higher and higher levels of, I think, acceptance. It's really, a lot of it is acceptance, like it says in the big book. It's the answer to all our problems, and God, when you can just accept everything just as it is. I couldn't do that. I didn't even know how to do that. Everything had to change according to my book, you know. Um, but yeah, I'm kind of inspired to maybe make the list of 3 for myself today and just put a little tickler file for a year from now to look back on it. And so I invite anybody. I invite all new sponsees to do it, to do this. And now that it will be in the Step It Up blog library, I'm likely to not forget, because that's where I go to assign my sponsees things to listen to between our sessions. And yeah, it's all good.